I need you to channel that emotion that you have. You're staring at the haunted icon right there. We're going to hold you back here. There's Petros and money entering the building. Sorry about that.
How you doing? How's everything?
Good to see you again, sir. Doing well. You?
You're going to remember your head top, so I gave you mine.
Over the top, scream, yell, be excited.
Why so loud? I'm sorry about my pants. I forgot that I was going to see people today. Sorry. Campbell College. They played UCLA in the tournament a few years back.
I thought that was University of Texas.
No, they're fighting
The
Camels.
Fighting Camels.
Although
Hello,
it is-
everyone. Thank you for coming up. We certainly appreciate it. Thank you, thank you.
Texas is going to be bowl eligible. Check, check. Sorry. Check, 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 check. I feel like my chair should be lower.
Yeah, same here.
Can I have like a chair, like a normal chair?
It's,
Well, it's real overmodulated. Can we do this?
all right, here we go. Well, see if maybe. That's it. Try this straight.
Hello, everybody. What's cracking and welcome back. It's the one and only Petros and Money Show right here on AM 570 KLAC. We've been in this room before. We've been in this room before with this man. We have some wonderful sponsors to mention, especially our friends at Barry's Tickets. Matt, we still have the Southwest Airlines giveaway going on.
We do, as a matter of fact, courtesy of Southwest.com. We have a couple tickets anywhere in the contiguous 48. We'll do that between now and 7 p.m. If you download the Line app, you'll have an opportunity to find the 15-minute window in which we'll be giving those away at 866-987-2570. So we just won't be defeated Wednesday, Pete.
That's right, and we will not be defeated with one of the greatest winners in the history of sports with us in our locker room upstairs where all the action truly goes down here at the iHeart Media Center. We are blessed to be joined by one of the most iconic sports figures of all time, but he has never been defined, of course, by sports, a patron of music and the arts. He also happens to be the greatest and most accomplished basketball player of all time. Joining us for the next hour inside the locker room, we proudly welcome the captain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, back to the Petros and Money Show on the Chevy Silverado Celebrity microphone on AM 570 KLAC. Thanks for coming in, Cap. What's cracking?
Not much. Just came over to say hi to you guys and sell a few things and talk about a few things. You know, this Saturday is going to be an important day.
Let's get right to it. It's rivalry week.
Yeah, it's rivalry week. So, you know, we got to. I remember my very first one, 1965. I didn't understand it. I went to the game. Didn't realize it when I got back to the dorms. I had no voice. UCLA had beat SC by 2 points. To get the nod to go to the Rose Bowl where they beat Michigan State. It's one of the best years of UCLA football. And hasn't been. I don't know if it's been that. Well, yeah, they've won it the Rose Bowl a couple of times since then. So they've done all right. But that was awesome for me to how do they say you get your teeth.
Cut your teeth.
Cut your teeth on that game. Wow, that was something else.
Yeah, it still is a great experience. It's a great thing in the city when USC plays UCLA. It's a classic thing, and you can think back of great names like Red Sanders and Howard Jones and athletes that have done battle in this city for a long time in football and basketball and many sports, to be honest. What was your connection with UCLA football as a young man? I mean, we had when you were playing, we had Gary Beeben on this week, and he chopped it up and talked all about that stuff, and Terry Baker and Tommy Prothro and the names from the '60s, and we've had more current guys on. Do you talk to the players today? We've seen you practice.
Oh yeah, I go to practice sometimes. I meet some of the guys. They used to watch the Lakers, some of them, or they know about the Lakers. I think we were playing before they were born there at this point. So, but they know about us, and certainly there's a camaraderie there just because of UCLA, and this coming spring it'll be 75 years since Jackie Robinson first started at UCLA.
When we talk about relationships with other sports, what about your upbringing and other sports that you played? Was it always basketball? Was there anything else that you started?
My favorite sport when I was growing up was baseball. I wanted to play for the Dodgers while they were in Brooklyn. Yeah. And of course, I should have pitched, but I didn't know about keeping the fastball over the plate. I didn't know how to do that. And fortunately, basketball loomed very big in my life, and I took that advantage and went with it. And I have had no regrets. But that's why I would go out there and play the celebrity game at Dodger Stadium, just because I always wanted to play in Dodger Stadium.
Understandable. And when you talk about growing up, and give us an idea of what, because you were a champion. We've said it. This is the greatest, not just basketball player, but you could argue athlete in the history of American sports, considering all your accomplishments at all the levels. How competitive, when you came up in the city, was high school basketball, and how remarkable an accomplishment was it that your team put together that sort of run in high school?
Well, high school basketball, when I played, I played in the 9th grade. I was 14 years old. I started playing, and I didn't realize that I was in a blood sport. High school basketball in New York is for blood, man. There's no other way to describe it. And I remember my very first game, we got just kicked in the behind by Erasmus Hall High School, and I wanted to win. That was my first game. I didn't expect to be on the varsity. All of a sudden, I'm on the varsity, and we go out there and get kicked by Charlie Donovan and the Erasmus Hall team. And I go back into the locker room after the game, and I start crying. I was closer to being a 12-year-old than a 16-year-old, right? So I start crying. And I remember I looked up, and all the other guys on the team were looking at me like I just stepped off a spaceship. And I realized then that, there's no room for crying little boys. You got to be a big guy and be tough and not show your emotional vulnerability to anyone, and go out there and kick butt. And I've tried to do that ever since.
How different, is in your memory of now and back then, is just living and being an athlete in New York as opposed to Los Angeles?
Well, it's a lot different because of the seasons, and you have to. It's really nice to have basketball to play during the winter in New York, because those 20-degree days, you don't want to be outdoors. So you're glad you don't play football. The baseball team started working out in February, and it was cold then. It wasn't until late in March that the temperature got right. So the seasons really determine how you approach sports, and the guys that played the summer sports, they had to wait.
Do you want to, we'll get to On the Shoulders of Giants. We had you in, and we talked about that for a long time, and we cannot stress enough how compelling an audio book that is to listen to, just because of the music and the fact that Costas is involved. It's such a great listen. But
it's like listening to Bill Evans,
And you talk about the Harlem Wrens and the original Celtics, but the other part of New York City basketball, I guess nowadays, you mentioned kids and the younger kids, is Rucker Park and the legend of the playgrounds. How important was that, if at all, when you were coming up versus, I guess, what was going on in the gyms?
Okay, Holcomb Rucker was a park attendant. So, you had these parks all over the city. People got jobs. Holcomb Rucker got a job, and he realized that if he ran a basketball tournament in the summer in Harlem, it would really cut down on these kids getting into trouble. So back in the early or mid-'50s, he started this tournament, and they teamed up with the Baker League in Philadelphia to have an end-of-summer game. So you had the Rucker tournament during the summer, and then the All-Stars played the Baker League on the day that all of the teams sorted themselves out. And it really meant a lot to the Harlem community that was happening. And I remember the very first time I saw Earl Monroe. Again, I didn't know who he was. He came out and started doing incredible things. I realized that he was somebody, but still I didn't know who he was. And after the game, the guy said, "No, that's Earl Monroe. Jesus. You can call him Jesus." Made me aware.
Were those players, just to as you know, to a young man, were those players the most popular basketball players? You know, because you don't have the national broadcast that you have now. Who were the biggest stars in the sport for you when you were growing up? Where did they come from?
For me, the biggest stars in the sport came from college because St. John's had a good college team. NYU was competitive, and you know, you could follow various college teams. The Knicks were terrible. You know, they hadn't won anything at that point. They weren't destined to win anything until my rookie year, when they beat my team to win the Eastern Conference and go on and beat the Lakers. But that's the way it goes.
One of the most interesting people in the history of sports and one of the greatest athletes of all time. We're honored to talk to him pretty often. It's the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. In the locker room, whenever he's here, we have to invite a bunch of people just to see him and slap hands and enjoy the time. Inside the locker room, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is brought to you by Starguard Collectibles. Matt, you like collectibles.
I do.
You like to display them, do you not?
I absolutely do. And this is a beautiful manner in which you can display a basketball.
Display your prized collectible basketball with this state-of-the-art, officially licensed NBA basketball stand. I feel like a hand model. Handcrafted in America and richly finished in a dark mahogany. You like a nice mahogany
I do.
wood.
It's a beautiful wood.
So it's very nice.
It's also the plexiglass on there is treated for UV, so it won't ruin the colors of anything that you put in there.
How many basketballs do you think you've signed in your lifetime?
More than I can ever count. I couldn't count them all. I just hope the people enjoyed them when they got them.
Have you ever just looked up while signing and feel like you must have signed 1,000 and then you see that there's just a mountain ahead of you and you feel just defeated?
No, I don't feel defeated.
Or just drop the pin and leave at that point?
I'm flattered that people still want my autograph. You know, it's been 25 years since I retired. There's been a whole lot of other great players that have come and gone. So, you know, the fact that they're still interested in me is very flattering, and I try to accommodate people.
Erasmus Hall, famous alum.
I don't.
Neil Diamond.
Oh, how about that?
I think he was a point guard
the
on that
jazz singer.
team.
Barbara Streisand.
Barbara,
Look at
she's
that.
even better.
Babs and Neil Diamond?
One up by the captain.
Would that be a double bill or what? Neil Diamond and Babs.
George Thompson played in the NBA and ABA.
What percentage of, before we break, just one last one as we go back to New York, and again, kind of those Harlem Rens and that original Celtics, because I really did love On the Shoulders of Giants, that thing you put together. What percentage of players do you think know the history and how we got here when guys are, as you know, LeBron James, arguably the most popular athlete in the world, and how we got here?
Most of the players today don't understand how the NBA came into existence, and if you tell them that the NBA was segregated when it started, they'll look at you like you're crazy, and they would have to go back and actually look it up to find out what the facts are.
The great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We're inside the locker room, brought to you by our boy Barry and Starguard Collectibles. His beautiful collectible basketball, state-of-the-art container. And it's UV there, too. We're going to talk about the Lakers and UCLA basketball and a lot of things to come with the captain for the next hour on PMS on AM 570K, LAC. Is everything okay?
Yep.
I'm really sorry about the pants.
Is it all that we're pushing, Kareem? Is it just the Star Guard? Is there anything else you want us to work in?
Maybe we could talk about some of the things I'm writing.
Okay.
No big deal.
Okay. Yeah, the calls.
Where's Deborah? Get her in here. I need to talk to her. What else do you want us to talk about?
also need to get that when you're down. That's right. Southwest Airlines tickets. It's happening sometime between now. Download line. Follow us at
Lakers fan, we're gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. You'll stay strong. You know it's tough. The days of confusion. 2-9. Then you should let him now. You should. I'd like to see him grow. I'd like to see him grow.
Does anyone have a question?
Watch him grow. Randall will grow. Keep on looking at your work. But you're okay. It's okay. I like your Kevin, good to see you again. How are you?
Same spot, right? No contract today, Nick.
I went from like only. Yeah. Not sure what doing the overboard. Where'd you grow up?
You have Memphis. The cafe recognizes men with men. So let that Memphis flag fly high. Let the world be more.
Check.
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 Good. All right.
Never uses any oil. Walk around, eat smart, be healthy, and go beach.
Landon Donovan, Robbie Keane, and your LA Galaxy take on the Seattle Sounders.
Any advice to
November
you
23rd.
and advice to count? Therapy already. It's only been a week and I'm in therapy.
You want to do current Lakers?
All right, you guys ready again?
It's Petros and Money on AM 570 KLAC. You hear the live studio audience in the background. We are fortunate and thankful to be joined by one of the greatest athletes in the history of American sports. And as you heard, if you joined us for the last segment, so much more than that. A reminder that Inside the Locker Room with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is brought to you by Starguard Collectibles. Check out StarguardCollectibles.com. Really a beautiful way to display your memorabilia. It is a handcrafted, richly finished, dark mahogany, 6-inch hand-carved mount, but the plexiglass dome that covers the ball protects that signature so it won't fade. The color of the ball won't fade. Really a beautiful way to display your memorabilia.
Kareem is here, and just quickly, before we get started with a lot of stuff about the current Laker team, there is a stat that we could have you confirm. Is it true that you heard more cursing in 4 minutes with Pat Riley coaching than 4 years with John Wooden, the great UCLA head basketball coach?
Yes.
Okay.
A very simple one-word answer.
Now, this current Laker team, Kareem, I saw you the other night during a game talking to the sideline guy, and, well, things were bad that night. Things are a little bit better coming off a victory last night, but they're 2-9. You've been around. Your Laker memory goes back to the 60s. Is this rock bottom for them? Have you ever seen it like this before?
No, I haven't seen it like this before. I saw the teams with Jerry West and Elgin Baylor. Those are the very first Laker teams I saw play. I didn't get to see George Mikan play. But that's probably the toughest job that a coach has had so far, because the Lakers always had serious talent that could win and contend. And they're not in that position now, and everybody's upset about it. But that's the way things go. These things go in cycles, and we have to understand that and accept it.
You were a coach, an assistant during the 5 years ago? I mean, it seems like an eternity because of how bad things are. But when they were winning championships, you were working with some of the big men, so you understand coaching. Certainly, players, what they're receptive to and what they're not. How hard of a job does Byron have, and what do you make of the balance between Kobe and perhaps the final 2 years of his career and these young guys that he's trying to get involved?
Well, Byron's going to have a hard job until he has guys that are competent at the tough positions. All right, so center and power forward, they need some guys that are a little bit longer and can play the paint and dominate in the paint. If we get guys that can do that, then Kobe has a chance to get off on the perimeter. Nick Price, people like that. Lakers don't have bad personnel, but it's not cohesive yet, and all the parts have to fit together. That hasn't happened. So that's what we're waiting for. That's what we're all waiting for. And unfortunately for the Lakers, they don't have Bill Sharman and Pete Newell to go to for answers. And Jerry West, I should add his name too, definitely.
Certainly, anybody that ever saw the movie Airplane remembers the scene, and you're talking about Lanier and dragging him up and down the court when your defensive prowess was challenged in that movie. So just
by a child,
no less,
snarky child. Yeah.
But using that as a jumping off point, defense in the NBA, how hard guys play? Do they have to have defensive talent? Is it effort? What is it that goes? Because this is the worst defensive team statistically in the NBA. What do you see when you watch these Lakers play?
Defense in the NBA is not what it used to be. You used to have players that could play better defense because they had to do that in order to play college ball, and players used to have to play college ball in order to get into the NBA. So by eliminating the requirement that they go to college, I think that it's kind of slowed down the learning curve. And a lot of guys come into the league now, they're not totally fundamentally sound. They can't play defense. They don't understand the concept. And that's a shame. That should not be. They should have a better understanding of the game.
We're inside the locker room with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the Peterson Money Show. That impromptu cheering happens every time we reset. There's not an applause guy or anything like that. It's brought to you by Barry's Tickets, of course, and Starguard Collectibles. And all Access Pass members enter now for your chance to win a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar signed basketball, which includes a Lakers Starguard display stand. AM570radio.com is where you go to find that. Byron Scott, is he calling you 3 to 4 times a day? Is it a texting thing? We all know that you have active fingers on the Twitter and you know how to work that stuff. How often does he talk to you or his former teammates about what's going on?
I don't know how much he's talked to his former teammates. I talked to Byron once since the season started. The first game I went to, that was actually the first game they won all season. So
you should go more often.
Byron's going to do his job as well as he can, and he's going to make sure that the guys understand what they need to do. Now, if they don't want to do it or they can't do it, that's what we're dealing with. But Byron's not going to slack on his job. I can tell you that right now. He's done a great job in a number of places. I remember in New Jersey, he took his team to the NBA Finals 2 years in a row and still lost his job. But Byron knows what he's doing, and he'll make a difference.
Kareem, we said it multiple times, and we're not doing it because you're sitting here. But you ask many people around the game of basketball, a lot of smart people, they'll say, yeah, you're the best ever. I mean, not because of the numbers, not because of all the championships, although it does help when you have 6 MVPs and all those final MVPs.
A lot of decorations.
Yeah, there certainly is a lot, but Kobe, I don't know how much more he can work on his legacy. He has 5 titles. He has 2 finals MVPs. People are trying to slot him now as somebody that knows and played against some of the best of all time. What do you think his legacy is? What is Kobe Bryant in that career that he put together?
Kobe's career will be one of the great ones of the NBA, period. You know, anytime you play on 5 NBA championships, you've been doing something very correctly. And Kobe's led those teams in scoring a couple of times. So he's a key ingredient for Lakers' success heretofore. And put the right people out there on the court with him, he might get to the top again, but it's going to be tough.
Now, he's going to retire one day, just like you retired. And I remember distinctly watching on KCAL with Chick and Stu a lot of those games in your last year on the road, and they would give you things, and it reminded me of it when you saw the New York Yankees stuff, because Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera, everywhere they would go, somebody would give them something. You got like a Harley Davidson in Milwaukee. You were riding around on a motorcycle and stuff like that. Do you think they're going to do that with Kobe? And what was that like for you personally, that last go-round, picking up all that stuff? And did you actually keep the stuff, or did you just leave it there? How did that work?
Well, I tried to keep most of it, but some of it I couldn't use. There was one team gave me a boat. I couldn't fit in the boat. So, that was kind of difficult. But, it was the thought that counted. So many teams wanted to just express their appreciation and do it in a generous manner. So I was thrilled to get whatever I got, just because people were thinking of me in a very positive way. And I was proud of what I'd achieved, and it was nice to share that with the fans and the other teams.
We unfortunately lost Dr. Buss a little while back. People, upon his passing and while he was alive, said he's the greatest owner in the history of sports. As someone that was this close to him, that knew a lot about him and what he did, what made Dr. Buss the greatest owner in professional sports?
Dr. Buss was smart enough to understand that Jerry West, Bill Sharman, and Pete Newell knew what they were doing, understood talent, understood how teams went together. The emotional and intellectual part of a team is such a key issue, and if you don't know how that plays out on a team over time, you're going to make some mistakes. As far as I can remember, Jerry West and Pete Newell never made a mistake. At the right time, they always got the right people that the Lakers needed to continue to be relevant and then dominate. And that's pretty incredible. I'm sure any awards that they got, any accolades that they got for their management prowess were well-deserved.
Do you feel confident with the current group that is tasked with trying to replicate what Jerry and Pete and what they did?
Well, I know they're trying their hardest, but you can't do well unless you're in the right position. So the Nash trade made us give up 2 very important draft picks. We don't get Nash's skills, and they would have helped this team. So we lost out on Nash, 2 important draft picks that sets us back. And we had to trade draft picks to get Kobe to sign for the length of time that he signed, and then he got hurt and played, less than 10 games in 2 years. It's just so much bad luck. It was like all the bad luck that they avoided in the earlier era came to visit them all at once in the past 3 years. That's what it seems like to me. And it's kind of hard to figure, but that's where we are.
Did you read the Steve Nash thing that he wrote on the Facebook or something like that about his body and how he feels and you think about guys that are ex-athletes that had the miles on the court, nobody with more miles than you and a lot to show for it. But how is your body today, and how much did you relate with what Steve was talking about with the pain he's dealing with just as a 40-year-old guy?
I could relate to it. I had issues with my feet, my ankles, and my toes. They bore the brunt of my career, and in my retirement, I've had to have a couple of operations, but nothing real bad. Nothing major. There were minor things, but. My feet are probably the ugliest feet in this room for a good reason. 33 seasons of basketball, ending up with 20 years of professional basketball. That'll ruin them.
And what did you make of Derrick Rose's comments the other day? I don't know if he really. I'm not sure if he felt that they were taken out of context, but it was that you have those feet because it's a badge of what you've accomplished in life as a professional basketball player. He was talking about thinking about his future and being with his family and having his body for later, but he's paid a lot of money to perform now. How did that sit with you?
Well, I don't know exactly what his medical condition is, so it's hard to assess that.
It's like his knees, it's something like that.
But he keeps getting hurt and can't play. It's not like he's hurt and it hurts a little bit, but he should be able to play. He can't play. And I met Derek. He's not someone that's a loafer. He goes out there and he works hard and puts it all out there on the court. So if he's not getting it done on the court, something that is physical is inhibiting that, and it's not his attitude.
Kareem, when you hear the title given to Dwight Howard or maybe Marc Gasol as the best center in the game, and you think about the era in which you played and those battles in the middle with centers and how important they were and how dominant a position that was, what do you make of an era of basketball where either Dwight Howard or Marc Gasol are the best center in this game?
Well, I'm glad that I have the perspective that I have, and I saw Bill Russell play, and I saw Wilt play, and I played against Wilt, Walt Bellamy, Bob Lanier, Robert Parrish, Bill Walton, a lot of great centers. So, when you went against centers like that, those guys couldn't play against the centers I just mentioned. I mean, Wilt would have torn those people apart, man, because he's the biggest, strongest person I've ever seen in my life, and that includes Shaq. Shaq couldn't do what Wilt did. Bill Russell was an incredible athlete. People don't remember, he competed in the NCAA tournament, the track tournament, at the end of each year for the University of San Francisco in the high jump. He was a world-class athlete. And these guys, they don't pursue it like that. So, it's a lot different in desire and a lot different in fundamental mastery.
You think that's because of the money? Or do you think it's because of college? Like, what if you had to guess, what do you think?
My guess is that the kids don't have to go to college and don't have to learn some college coach's program. So they come into the NBA, or they get to the point where they're ready to go into the NBA and they don't have the fundamental skills developed to the degree that they need to be in order to go out there and dominate right away. The players that do the best are the ones that stay at least until their junior or senior year and then go to play professional basketball. They have a better idea of what's expected of them, and they're able to deliver.
Not that I'm, a skeptic, but I feel good knowing that today's centers could not mess with the Chief out there on the court, because nobody had what the Chief had back then. How hard was he? I mean, he was
had a nice jump shot from the key throw line, from the top of the key and the free throw line, and he passed the ball. He always looked for everybody else. But you wanted the Chief to take a shot, he'd take it, and he could hit that jump shot.
Chief, take the shot. Now, I promised that I'd ask this question because, for all the NCAA titles, the high school greatness, and the Player of the Year awards at UCLA, and the NBA titles and the MVP awards, 1968 Olympics, what kept you off that team? How did that go down? Did they really hate the West Coast that much? What happened?
No, they didn't hate the West Coast. I just had to make a choice between going to the Olympics or keeping my summer job, which gave me enough money to finish up at UCLA in comfort. And, it was legit. It was a legit job with the city of New York. It was nothing under the table. So I could, make the money that I needed to buy maybe some clothes and pay my gas bills and, pay my car off and wait for the draft in the spring of my senior year. So that's what I decided to do.
Well, it seems like a perfect avenue then for us to...
I always thought it was just a lot more complex than that. I thought there was like some basketball politics and Wooden and...
Nothing like that.
Wow.
So what about athletes? And, I don't want to say the exploitation. Maybe I should say the exploitation of the amateur athlete, the billions of dollars that amateur athletics brings in. Do you have an opinion? Have you voiced that opinion about how they should deal with these kids that are playing sports for universities?
I have voiced my opinion in Atlantic Magazine and let people know that they indeed are being exploited. They need to get a stipend of some type that pays them so that they can go to college and get their degree. That's really why people go to college. Most college athletes go for that reason. There are the one and done crew, but they are starting to dry up now. So I think if the colleges get to the point where they figure out a reasonable stipend for the people who make the money that enables all college athletics to thrive and do well, I think if they do that, then they found a solution.
You've mentioned the one and dones a couple times. What would be your solution to the NBA draft and when kids or young men, I should say, are allowed to enter the draft?
Raise the age to 21 instead of 19. And then that puts a 3-year gap in front of them that they can't get into the NBA. And if they want to play professionally, they have to go overseas. And just going through that, having to go overseas, deal with a foreign language, and learn the game on a professional level, that will get you ready for the NBA. Or you can go to college, So it makes college a little bit more attractive to stay home. And now that they will be getting some type of stipend, I think that it'll be more lucrative for them to do that. And it will improve the college game also.
How much do you like, and we're your Bruin station here on AM 570 KLAC. It's rivalry week. We have the SC-UCLA game. We have a UCLA basketball game tomorrow night against Nicholls State. What do you think of Coach Alford in his second year and what he's accomplished? And do you like his style? What direction do you think UCLA basketball is headed in?
Well, I know Coach Alford works hard, but I was disappointed last year. They got into the tournament and didn't do very well because they weren't ready. So I hope that his coaching methods go through a little bit of a revamp and he gets more into the depth of the game because he's got the athletes that can play that way. And he's got to challenge them, and hopefully get them to be at their best. And the only way you can do that is to let them loose. So we'll see what happens.
Have you been around the program at all, the basketball program?
No, I haven't been to a practice yet, but I have watched him play on TV a couple of times.
How powerful are those letters in recruiting? Because we always talk about that with USC football. The letters recruit themselves, and certainly maybe even more so with UCLA basketball. That's just a place that guys want to play. It wasn't like that when you made the decision, was it? Was it a place that everybody, was it a destination for basketball greatness like it became during and after your career?
I think during my career at UCLA, it started to change. I think that's when it really started to change because we just kept winning it. I remember when we lost to the University of Houston my junior year. Okay, in the prior 3 years, UCLA had won the NCAA tournament twice. And 1968 would have been the third year. So everybody got on the University of Houston bandwagon, and they were happy that UCLA wasn't going to win it because most people don't like dynasties. But, we had some other ideas about that. So we played University of Houston in the sports arena. Of course, you know about that, right?
I know the sports arena, yeah.
No, you know what happened in there.
No, I used to be the PA guy at the sports arena.
No, this is before you were born. That's why I'm asking you like that.
You put it on a fight. Well, that's not Phi Slamma-Jamma, Houston, right? That was like older guys.
This is Elvin Hayes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we ran them out of the gym, actually.
Yep.
Sweet. So, before it was a commuter school.
Yeah,
and you got now it was a whole different deal.
It's a different deal, and I do take my hat off to the University of Houston. They did what they did to integrate college basketball. That was a big deal. In 1967, for them to have a team of local players who were black Americans, and none of the other schools wanted to play them because they had black Americans on their team. I always take my hat off to the program. They deserve, Coach Lewis and his program, they deserve some credit for that. I don't want to be stingy with the praise because they deserve it. They made a difference. People saw that. People realized that in the South, the schools down there were actually suffering a talent drain. All the best athletes were going to play out west and in the Midwest or back east because they couldn't play in the old South.
Yeah, we think about UCLA basketball in those days, and we think about you and Bill Walton and the greatness of those teams. Guys that are maybe a little younger like Marcus Johnson and John Wooden, the iconic great coach. But you said it. People don't like dynasties. Were you guys kind of viewed as a villain everywhere you went? Did you feel like the evil empire? The Showtime Lakers didn't feel that way.
We didn't feel like the evil empire. We felt that we were clean-cut, good-looking guys, That's what we felt like. But, everywhere we went, everybody wanted to beat us. I started, right after I started my retirement, I did some work for ESPN, and I did the late game on the West Coast. And I went to a number of schools where people in the athletic department had played against us, either during my era or the era immediately before or after my era. And they were still pissed. They were like, we wish we could have beat you guys. How come we couldn't beat you? And they were still mad and, off balance about it. So I guess it was something. Everybody wants to beat the dynasty and be the one that shows the world that they can beat the best. But UCLA, those 7 in a row. That's an awesome challenge for any college program.
Going back to the professional ranks, there's a new president of the Players Association, and she kind of served notice on the commissioner about the salary cap and the rookie wage scale. I don't know how many of her. I know her first name's Michelle. Her last name's escaping me now. But how many of those things you may have seen? But what do you make about? What do you make of the compensation, the fact that there is this max salary? Is Kobe or LeBron, or are they being compensated fairly by these owners and considering the valuation of these franchises and where they've gone the last couple of years?
I think the players are being compensated fairly. They're doing wonderful. Just average guys on the bench are making $3 and $4 million a year. That's pretty awesome. You couldn't have done that back when I was a rookie. I remember when I was a rookie, I could only hope to try to get what the guys that were making the most were getting. And I realized it had to be some time. I had to play a couple of years before I started getting taken seriously on my salary demands.
It's Michelle Roberts, by the way, my mistake there, to the president of the NBAPA. A reminder, Starguard Collectibles is presenting Inside the Locker Room right now with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Check out StarguardCollectibles.com. They are beautiful, beautiful mahogany blocks with plexiglass cases for your basketball. We're actually giving one away if you want to see what it looks like at AM570radio.com for you all-access pass members. But protect that ball, the color, the signature, and all that, and do it with class, because that's mahogany down there. We have one more segment that we're going to get to with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in just a moment, as we are inside the locker room here on your home of the Bruins.
We could do this forever. AM 570
right?
KLAC.
Unit extraction, and back in 2006, the award-winning Dodge City Alfie Armani perfected a crown. What did that mean? It meant no more spritz on the back of your head when it came to your hair transplant. No, they pluck and they stick. It leaves no scars. It gives you dense packing. You have a natural, undetectable hair transplant. Fooey, fooey, fooey. Available at Alfie Armani. ALBIArmani.com. That's ALBIArmani.com for a free consultation.
This is Dodgers Radio, AM 570 KLAC traffic. And now to our helpful SoCal Honda Traffic Center.
Fresh clear day when I'm home. 22 that's how y'all Balboa. It's busy about the traffic still slow from Topeka Canyon westbound side from the 5 to Balboa. Santa Monica Taylor's at Leaning. Fresh from the north side to the right hand lane backed up. East stays slow to the 5 westbound slow from the 5 to National. Conked out the vehicle in Norwalk. That's on the 5 northbound just before you get to Carmenita Road. Take it to your central lane. Coming out of LAX, also going to notify east and 5 to Take the 605 or better alternate. Take that in your lanes. That is a better one, but still slow with miles from the 1 to the 55. Heading into Orange County, Fulton 57 southbound just before you get to Yorville and the Boulevard. We have a stall car blocking the carpool lane. I'm Kelly J. Dodgers. You're radio AM 570
I'm glad that you care. Oh, my two doors. Where are they going?
Yeah, great selection of acquisition cars that are in red. I got a car I love at a payment that fits my budget perfect. Call Brothers Fresh Start program works.
Now located in the Riverside Auto Center. And in Comics for 5 and 7
Now for 6 CBS Market Flash Tom bags of russet potatoes are just 89 cents. Filet party size chips or Mission Tortilla 24-ounce chips are only $2.99 each. Thanksgiving savings come in all sizes at Martin Fine.
Enjoy late-night specials on appetizers and drinks at B-Dubs. www.buffalowildwings.com for a location near you. Buffalo Wild Wings, wings, beer, sports.
With a recent new celebrity photo albums, we have a house and who's taking pictures of not show Supreme Court Justice House. These very successful people at live home is a 2 terabyte drive and in a single centralized library, combination of resources and access to your entire collection. So if you're a Nobel Prize winner with 71,400 hot-shot job photos on your live home, or a Nobel Prize winner with 71,400 hot-shot job photos on your phone, tablet, or laptop, he's the owner. It's a brilliant way to store and drop all the digital photos and videos from your collection. Get your free code. Discover it at home today at myalive.com. It's my
Turtle race. Oh, that guy? That guy wrestled it. You say a lot. That was sports father.
This is your local convenience retailer.
I didn't yawn. Kareem did.
Available for well-qualified buyers. Tax time, license, and options extra. See retailer. Call 1-800-862-0406 for essential details. Offer ends January 2nd. Every year, the holidays arrive and you blow it. Remember when you gave your sweetheart socks featuring your favorite team? You get between the uprights. The engagement ring store says don't be that guy. Give her the engagement ring of her dreams and get the holidays right.
You guys okay? You good?
December 24th.
We have one more break. I wrote it down.
Brothers today. Special financing is subject to credit approval. No monthly payments required. See store for details.
From the rocket to the smartphone. Innovations move us forward, and now there's one for your mortgage. Thanks to our unique process and low overhead, today's cash call 15-year fixed rate is 2.99%, 3.026 APR, and our fee is just $495 to close any loan anytime. Call us at 866-590-CASH, and you may save money in the lower monthly payment. Pull tens of thousands of dollars out of your home, or maybe even do both. So call 866-590-CASH and watch your savings really take off. Because at Cash Call, we're designed to save. Call 866-590-CASH today.
This hour sponsored by DSLA Stream. Call 866-2.
From the Lakers to the Clippers to the Bruins, every night something is happening on the hardwoods.
All night long.
As well, Lakers won last night. Every morning, LA's best sports talk. It's on every day after Dan Patrick. Join us weekday mornings at 9 and get it at 570radio.com.
Hello, everybody. What's cracking and welcome back. The one and only Peterson Money Show on AM 570 KLAC, your Dodger station and Bruin station, is on the air. We're inside the locker room with the incomparable Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, brought to you by Starguard Collectibles, and, of course, my boy Barry. Check out am570radio.com. Learn all about Starguard Collectibles and how you can store your stuff in the right way. Kareem's almost a whole hour with us, Matt, and everything's good. And the questions, they're about to improve dramatically. So, all right, you guys can calm down now. We don't have a lot of time left. Just take it easy.
Thank you.
Remember, the Wednesday night film fight is headed your way.
Make sure we get that up
in a moment. So you're going to want to make sure you guys stick around and listen to the film fight, right? That's why you're here. But the listener questions, Kareem, are you excited? You see these people? They're well heeled and attractive, and they want to know some things.
But of course.
Yeah. Well, this one, that's very nice. This one comes from a guy who says, "We see you at Dodger Stadium a lot," and we have seen him at Dodger Stadium. I can attest to that. You go back to the days of Sandy Koufax. You like the Dodgers? You like this team? You like what they're doing?
Yeah, I like what they're trying to do, but they need to figure out some better methods. They're trying to put the best team that they can out there, and these past couple of years, for all baseball fans in Southern California, it's been awesome. I mean, you got Puig last year, and then the year before that, Jersey Mike. Oh my God, that's the two best rookie years since Joe DiMaggio and Willie Mays, one year after another in Southern California. We're really lucky. So, as a baseball purist fan, I'm having a good time, but I want to see the Dodgers get some serious pitching so that they can be like the teams that I like with Tommy Davis and Maury Wills and those guys.
The greats. Now, you were talking earlier about how, you had a hard time throwing it over the plate. You wanted to be a Major League Baseball star. I think it worked out for you athletically, but do you become embarrassed when you see some of these basketball players like Nick Young go out there and they try to throw out the first pitch and they look like they're aliens or something? It's embarrassing for the sport.
If you don't practice throwing a baseball every day, you lose the skill. I mean, it takes you, if you take the winter season off, those 3 or 4 months, when you come back in the spring, it's tough. It takes you a while before you build up the strength and the timing to throw the ball accurately every time. That's why the baseball skills are so crazy. So, when I see somebody like Puig and they say he's had the best rookie year since Joe DiMaggio, that's astounding, Jersey Mike comes out there and has the best rookie year since Willie Mays. It's unbelievable. Happy to see it, and I hope both teams keep on improving.
And this one here, Kareem, comes from Daniel. Daniel, where are you? From right
that
back there.
guy.
All right, Daniel from Ventura wants to
darkness.
know if you remember Raymond Lewis and who the best street basketball players were that you might have played against.
I remember the name Raymond Lewis. He's a great street basketball player. I think he played here in Los Angeles. Bourbon Day, yeah.
Roy Hamilton.
So he was great. I played against one guy named Earl Manigault. He was awesome, but couldn't shoot the ball and didn't want to pass the ball. So, it's hard to play with guys like that. They have incredible physical gifts, but sometimes things are difficult. It's hard to play with those guys.
Was that the dollar off the top of the backboard that he could jump and?
No, that was Jackie Jackson, and Will Chamberlain put a 50-cent piece on that flat piece right behind the basket. It wasn't on the top of the backboard. Nobody can jump that high. Nobody can jump that high.
Dwight Howard might do a 12-foot rim and do that in the dunk contest, but not.
Well, he might be able to do that. I want to see him go up another 2 feet.
Yeah. You were talking about.
I want to see it too. When he said Raymond Lewis, I thought Ray Lewis, the linebacker. Yeah, we all know that guy.
You were talking about not being able to shoot and maybe not wanting to pass. What one skill would you, for just the parents of the kids out there, and we see how different basketball players are now versus when you were coming up. What's the most important skill for kids to learn when they start playing basketball?
I think the most important skill for kids to learn is when they handle the ball, to be able to look around and see what's happening around them, so that when their teammates are open, they'll pass it to them. If you're looking at the basketball, because you have to look at it in order to control it, and someone that's on your team is open and you don't see them, you've probably had your last conversation with that individual, and they're probably going to trip you on the stairs if they get the chance. So you got to learn that part of it. You got to share the ball, and share the ball with the people who are open. You hit the open man, have the open man take the shot. That makes the game so much easier. Learn how to use both hands, especially around the basket. Around the basket, you should be ambidextrous. You should handle the ball and pass the ball with both hands, and then play some defense.
There you go.
Well, see, there it is. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar making it simple and real for the people, brought to you in part by Stargard Collectibles and Barry's Tickets. We've been inside the locker room. One final question for you, Kareem, and this one comes on, I gave out my phone number once or 5 times on the radio, and so I get about, how many messages today?
What was her name?
1,071. I don't know if they're men or women. They're just numbers. But this is a good question from the 626. It said, por favor, P, which means, I think, please in Spanish, right? Ask Kareem, who is his favorite poet? And I think that's a great question to end on.
My favorite poet is Samuel Taylor Coleridge.
The romantic who used to hang out with William Wordsworth.
Yes.
I believe the Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner.
My favorite poem is Kubla Khan.
It's not a short poem now. There's a few pages in that poem.
When Xanadu did Kublai Khan, oh, geez, I've forgotten all the
No,
words
that's
of
pretty
it.
good, though. I mean, I forgot that he did Kublai Khan. I was going to come with Don Juan. Most people think it's Don Juan. No. Don Juan by Samuel Taylor
A
Coleridge.
stately pleasure dome decree where Alf, the sacred river, ran through caverns measureless to man down to a sunlit sea. And there were gardens bright with sinuous rills which blossomed amidst which blossomed many an incense-bearing tree. And there were shadows ancient as the hills, hiding in spots of greenery, I think it is.
Wow.
You're so good, we sat silent.
That's it. We're done.
Great.
Inside the locker room, the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and you get a romantic English
Save the
literature
best for last.
poetry reading. Stargard Collectibles. Check it out at am570radio.com. And, of course, Barry's Tickets. Romanticism. Thank you, Kareem. That was great. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. Thanks to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the best.
All the English majors are going to hang me tomorrow.
Speeds up to 75 megabits per second, unlimited internet, no download limits for fans with True Stream is perfect to stream Netflix, Hulu.
When it's over, I'll say.
Call now. I thought just like that. Free professional installation. 866. This is how I predicted it.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Is your idea of a spa weekend chilling in a jacuzzi with 6 bañosas? Is your man bag a personal cooler with Tecate Light for you and your bros? Felicidades, Captain. You have manfidence. Tecate recognizes men with manfidence. So let that manfidence flag fly high. Let the world know that being organized means having Tecate.